from Hank Burchard. The round-table discussion of her many parts was a revelation to me. I had signed up for the trip largely from a sense of duty to her shade and you and Myra, but it turned out to be deeply healing. And y'all's cheerful, capable companionship and caretaking was Casey's final gift to me. Welcome to Health Hats, the podcast. I'm Danny Van Leeuwen, a two-legged, cisgender, old white man of privilege who knows a little bit about a lot of healthcare and a lot about very little. You'll listen and learn about what it takes to adjust to life's realities in the awesome circus of healthcare. Let's make some sense of all of this. Thank you.
I'm Jan Oldenburg. I met Casey, I think we figured out it was 2012. We knew each other before that on Twitter, but we met in the flesh in Stanford Meadows. And in closer touch after that, but it was when I moved to Richmond in 2017 that Casey took me under her wing to introduce me to everything Richmond and that deepened and broadened our friendship.
So I'm Dave DeBronkhart, known on the internet as ePatient Dave, the patient empowerment guy. I was a cancer survivor in 2007, and then in 2009 I found myself in the front page of the newspaper because I had looked into my medical record and discovered a whole bunch of garbage in there. And it turned out it was a big policy problem in Washington. And one night there was a reception in Washington at a place called Innovations, Political Innovations. And this loud, red-haired woman walked up. What you're talking about? I'm going to give you a clean wet smack on the face. Oh, smack on the sorry. Because she had just gone for her cancer adventure. She had an opinion that what I was advocating for was a good thing. She was not going to like the fact that, none of us had ever heard of any such stuff.
Oh, me? Hyper Dankworth. Actually, Casey knew me before I knew her because she was older and we've known each other since I was born. So she is the older sister that I never had. As she used to say, that you're a sister short of a blood test. So basically grew up with her and CeCe, and we shared love of horses, love of the sea, love of martinis, love of Buffett, and she's just been a dear friend of mine for 66 years now. Nice. Did you know Mary Casey? Who?
No. I'm the second of the Casey kids. Mary. Yes, I can call you Mary. First, me, and then Mike.
Yeah.
On
Please don't hurt me. Maybe brother.
learned a lot from Mary. Mainly not to call her Mary in front of other people. I didn't really like the name much, but I'm Casey Quinlan. Let me. Sure. Yeah, the Nashville and Memphis.
Yeah. For your birthday.
For my birthday. And the way she drove, we made it at time. I was used to the way she drove because I grew up having her drive me to my eye doctor appointments. She was Vista and Coronado, so I knew exactly how that would work. I dealt with her a lot down in Richmond. A lot of interesting people. Some of them probably were wondering how this exact song end up being Casey's sister, because I'm not exactly for it. But when we found out that she had cancer, that she would just went deep into reading and researching and talking with people. And she has left so much knowledge that no one had before. I'm proud to be her sister at the same time.
I'm Myra Isaacs, and I met Casey probably around 2008. She was on the board of directors of a Virginia supportive housing, and I was a staff member. We were assigned to work on projects together, and we just hit it off immediately and just stayed friends ever since. We lived about 6 or 8 minutes from each other. Yeah, we had adventures together. And I met Jan. We still can't remember exactly where it was, like, what, this is probably 5 years ago. I didn't stay in touch, right? Anyway, and then because we got so involved in, just seeing that things weren't together I needed to be, I just went to Casey one day and I said, "What do you want me to do? You want me to step up?" She said, "You're on." You pretty much did the same thing, and she asked both of us to step in and try and help as best we could. Unfortunately, Ray had just asked Ray to you. So I had expertise that I didn't offer. I did help, and I felt like the best thing I could do was pass that along, and it did help because we were going on the journey with the aspects. And I also have a background in healthcare. So,
Okay.
And I'm Danny Van Loon. I'm known as Hellcats. I have no idea when I met Casey. I can't remember. I would say that we were partners in crime because she was a revolutionary, and I'm not so much. I'm more of a figure out how everything works and tinker with the system. Our benefit. And we helped each other. And coming from different points of view was really helpful. Yeah, I think we had good. And then she started her podcast, and I was podcasting, and so I advertised on her podcast, and then when she started failing and was having trouble getting her podcast out, we would get together and we have a recorded conversation, and then I would edit it for me. And then I would edit it for her to get filming her intros and outros. Yeah. So they were different but the same. And we did that 3 or 4 times. Four. Okay. We did that 4 times over the years. And that was actually the work relationship.
Casey and I go back to the late 20th century.
over the millennium.
And she and I met through an affinity group called Patrick O'Brien Novels. She was. And my function in her life was to be her hunting guide. Hunted on my property in Maine and wherever the law allowed. And her role was restaurant guide in Richmond. She and I undertook to visit all the good restaurants in Richmond. And we made a pretty good start when the thing went bad.
But you turned her into quite a hunter.
She had a month longer, and she was a corn hunter. All she needed was to have somebody hand her kind of point her. She picked it up extremely fast, and because she's a woman, she wasn't playing macho. And
She did end up with a barrel gun.
Yes, so you had to frame.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if
Fred.
she did that, but I
Yeah. Myron, yeah, that's right.
Fred freaks me out every time I walk in. So I was happy to
Say bye to Fred. Say bye to Fred.
I am Lori Rogers Stupel. I am Mary Casey Quinlan's youngest cousin on the Rogers side of the family, and I guess I've known her all my life. She was the oldest cousin and somebody I was always so admired her so much for what I saw her do on stage, and I went to New York City when I graduated high school and met her at NBC, and she showed me around, and she just always was somebody I looked up to. We didn't grow up together other than all the wonderful times we had as cousins. We have 13 amazing cousins that we spent a lot of time together, but she was always the oldest and somebody I always looked up to. Then in 2010, I got breast cancer, and I did know that Mary had breast cancer, but it was very unique because we didn't have it in our family at all, which doesn't really matter anymore, but we had that in common, and she provided me with so much information and inspired me so much, and I'm very thankful for her for that. And I miss her. She did come see me here in Florida, and I was overjoyed that she came and spent some time here. Very happy to meet you all. You're close friends.
I'm Amy Price, and a lot of us here. I don't know exactly when I met Casey because Casey just kept coming in and out of my life one way or another because we both had a little bit of a revolutionary bent, but also that resilience. And what I really admired is that with that strength, she had such a gentle compassion for people that weren't strong like that or that couldn't really speak for themselves. She had a lot of tolerance and she was kind. And I just loved her. She was an awesome writer. So sometimes we would go back and forth on like writing things at BMA and so the most fun I had with her, I think, was we were in London and we were filming a class on co-producing research with ePatient.
It sounds riveting.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, no, it was fun. We just went all over it and we ate the whole time. It was awesome, right?
I always had to know the best restaurants.
Oh my God. Anywhere.
Come to San Diego, take me to great restaurants I'd never heard of. It was a great day.
And so I liked her. And plus she had that artistic part, like the creative. She could make art from anything, whether it was speaking, movie, writing, actual.
QR code on her chest.
That QR code on her chest. And what kind of statement is that? And that statement lives on. I think that's been translated by several organizations as, oh, this is something that you could do.
Oh, and it's becoming an HL7, which is a health level 7 standard. It's becoming a standard, the QR code.
So this big on your chest.
It's not being quite literally translated in that way. Yeah.
All right, QR code.
All right.
Yeah, so QR codes. Let's think about those for right now. Anyway. Yeah. I'm trying to avoid this. But, so, yeah, how long have I known? Since my birth, blah, blah, blah. But she was always, to go back to what Lord was saying, in my life, she was always like this occasional special guest star when I was a kid, because she would be in college or she'd be in New York, and then bam, she's there, and everything's different when you're there.
Yeah.
And I had this kind of hero worship thing for her for most of my childhood because she was just so resolute in when she wanted something, my God, she would have got it. I don't know. She made a big impression on me that way. And she had a sense of humor that just wouldn't die. And it came in useful a lot of times. I went through some really rough stuff in the 90s with my older two kids. And she was by my side through this whole thing. I mean, not physically all the time, but she was constantly checking in with me and how are things going. And then when she had cancer later on, I had to try to do the same for her. But I know that it was more natural for her than it was for me. And she just was, like you say, and she cared about the people around her. She wanted them to do better. I can't believe it took her as long as it did to figure out this angle on healthcare that she had. She wrote a book, as you all know, Cancer for Christmas. And that's right. That's her. That's like her. That's so on brand for her to turn a life-threatening medical situation into gangling. It was, a lot of courage. That's a lot of courage. And I keep, these days, she's been gone a little while now, I keep coming across things where I want to find out her opinion on stuff. I can't. She was always the coolest, Bensie's, but she was always the coolest of the three of us. She knew more about music and she knew more about culture than anybody I knew. Like when I was in second grade, at my birthday, she gave me a copy of the album Creep, which, if you think about second graders, you might say, I can see maybe he'll like it. But listen to it, and I became a Creep fan. It was like crazy. Yeah. And then she got the first Harry Potter book and sent it to my oldest when it was like still being published by Scholastic, and there were like 20,000 copies of it in the world or whatever. And she just said, this is going to be great. This is a great story. And she's right. I don't think she had any idea about how juice that thing was getting in. But that's the kind of cool hunting that she would do. And so when I come across stuff, I'm like, oh, what does she think of this? I miss not having her here to be able to ask her.
I host, write, and produce Health Hats the podcast with assistance from Kayla Nelson and Leon and Oscar Van Leeuwen. Music from Joey Van Leeuwen. I play Barry sax on some episodes alone or with the Lechuga Fresca Latin Band. I'm grateful to you who have the critical roles as listeners, readers, and watchers. Subscribe and contribute. If you like it, share it. See you around the block.